What's going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another episode of Just Jets here on the YouTube channel here in podcast form. Can't forget the audio only people. I appreciate you guys. It's the one thing I do every week that's a little bit longer form and available on either just, audio platform, more of a generic kind of podcast. I want to keep this around because I like the podcast format. I love the short quick hitters are good too. And most of my content is the short form video. But this one, we could kind of like really get into the weeds and get the fan reaction as well. I love doing this each and every week. Another Jets loss. Kind of becoming numb to it. I was mad during the game, and after the game, I was pretty upset with the effort or lack thereof as the New York Jets fell to 3-7 this week. They have a game on Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts that I don't really care all that much about, and I don't think you guys do either. Instead, I wanted to use this time to talk about a discussion that is usually pretty toxic, a discussion that I thought I was done having with this team for a little while, but a discussion that seems every year we have to, at least since I've been doing content, have to discuss tanking. Now, my stance on tanking is this. I can't control where the Jets pick. No fan can control where they pick. So I'm going to go numb. That's been my plan pretty much ever since 2020. 2020 was the only time I really actively remember, I don't know if rooting against the Jets is the right word, but I was so far broken at that point, and I'm pretty broken now. But I genuinely thought that team might not win a game. I think this Jets team finds themselves a way to win 2, maybe 3 more games. So I don't feel like it's worth it to be like, oh, well, if the Jets lose out, they could actually end up with the 3rd pick. And who knows, maybe that ends up happening. I don't think they lose out, but just the tanking discourse, it's usually always toxic because you have, and it happened last year when the Jets were ruled out of it. And it was like, well, the season's over. I just want them to lose games, and they blow the draft stock, and they won't be able to draft. At the time, it was they're not going to be able to draft Joe Walter or Olu Fashanu. Olu Fashanu falls to them anyway, just because you have a higher pick. That doesn't always necessarily mean you're going to get a better player. It's not like when you do these drafts, the first best player goes number 1, the second best player goes number 2, and so on and so on. Yes, you're more likely to hit on said pick towards the top of the NFL draft. No one is going to deny that. But we're not that far removed from the Jets missing terribly on the 2nd overall pick at quarterback, missing on the 3rd overall pick at quarterback. And they've had picks pretty high up in the draft that have missed before. I mean, Dwayne Robertson was what, a 3rd or 4th overall pick? It's not the best. Not the best of times. So I can't get there, but at the same time, if you genuinely came on or called into the show, I was talking to you at any point, and you said, Matt, I hate this Jets team. They're really unlikable. I want them to lose every single game so they have to blow this thing sky high. I'm not going to look at you and say you're any less of a fan for thinking that way, because I get it. You're thinking long-term for the future. And for anyone who's like, you know what, I'm just really embarrassed of all this losing, I would love it for the Jets to maybe not win out, but go on a little bit of a run, and maybe they end up with 8 or 9 wins and just barely miss out on the playoffs. But that makes you feel better. If that's the case, okay. I'm not going to tell you that you're right or wrong, because at the end of the day, whoever is making the decisions next year for this Jets team, they have to get the picks right. So it doesn't matter if it's 1st overall. It doesn't matter if it's 15th overall. Probably falls somewhere in the middle. We'll look at in a second where I think the Jets are going to end up here and what that pick usually yields. But I think you should be able to find some talent no matter where you are. And like I said at the top, I think the Jets probably find their way to winning 2 or 3 more games. Games that you're looking at right now, maybe the Colts, maybe Miami, maybe Seattle. I'm trying to think of spots where the Jets could win. This team can beat anybody, and they could also lose to anybody. So that almost feels worthless to go through and discuss it. But I think they end at either 5-12 or 6-11. And looking at the last couple years of the draft, that record usually yields you a pick between 5th and 7th overall, depending on record and how many other teams finish with the same record. Right now, the Jets, if the season ended today, they would be picking 8th. All said and done, I think they end up with a top 10 pick. And no matter where you are in the top 10, you should be getting some sort of impact player. And then the next discussion becomes, do they go quarterback? Do you trade up for a quarterback if you're not high enough for one? Do you take a defensive lineman, either an edge rusher or interior guy? Do you take a corner because DJ Reed moves on in free agency and you're trading away Sauce Gardner or whatever the case is? I've seen mock drafts that have them taking a safety in the top 10. I'll tell you that now I don't love that idea, but it is a position that they could use help at. I've seen interior defensive line. I've seen quarterback. It's going to be really interesting to see how this thing plays out. That's what I'm looking for the rest of the way. And it sucks because this isn't how it was supposed to be. I know this feeling all too well, where you have 2 months of games left and you have no interest in the result, really. If they win, okay. If they lose, also okay. And that's the worst place to be as a fan. Just so broken and so numb. Like, I don't know if how they'll get this right. They're going to have a GM search more than likely. They'll have a coaching search. They may have a quarterback search. They have a big decision to make with their quarterback. I did a video earlier this week on, making the case to move on from Aaron Rodgers, but they very well could end up bringing him back. Man, what a state of affairs for this football team. Was not supposed to be this way, man. 2024 was supposed to be different. And Jet fans really deserve better. It's incredibly, incredibly disappointing that this is where this season has ended up for this football team. That it's November 12th, the day of recording, and we're talking about the tank conversation. Because I'm seeing it already. I am starting to see it already. I'm not ready to do mock draft Monday. Maybe, who knows, maybe a couple more losses I get there. But we're already seeing the infighting with the fans. Just the whole thing. It's a disgrace. It really is. Jet fans deserve better. They absolutely do. Let's get us started with Peter up in the beautiful Hudson Valley. Peter, your reaction.
Hey, Matt. It's Peter from up in the dark Hudson Valley, smoky Hudson Valley. We've had some wildfires near us that have left the air a bit smoky today.
Stay safe.
And probably will tomorrow as well. Great for breathing, and not so great to come home after that and watch the Jets lose again. You can't win a ball game when every time the opponent scores a touchdown, all you answer with is a field goal. Get down into the red zone, and there doesn't seem to be any weapon on this Jets team that they can utilize to get the ball in the end zone.
It's unreal.
Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers still not on the same page again. Michael Clemens can't set an edge to save his life. And why he's in there the majority of plays still, I don't understand. And, of course, Sauce Gardner had Trey McBride and should have, tackled him for what would have been a third down stop. And he still couldn't wrap him up. So many little stupid things by this team. So much lack of proper effort. I can't see this team making the playoffs. I'm sure I've said that before, but so many things going against them in this game, going out to the West Coast, going against the superior Arizona Cardinals team, going, on 10 days rest. And they just got freaking steamrolled. They really did. You got to give it to Kyler Murray. Played great. Got to give it to Budda Baker. He was flying all over the field for the Cardinals.
Yep.
Next Sunday, they play 1 o'clock against the Colts. I'm going to probably be out doing my work and not even bother to watch it. So
I don't blame you.
We'll see what happens, but I doubt the Jets will go anywhere. Take care.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate your call. Hope you're all good with the Flyers. I know I saw some pictures online of some Jet fans who are in that area dealing with the fire. So I hope that you're safe. I hope everyone affected is safe. This team, it's remarkable. You mentioned them only being able to convert field goals, which in and of itself is pretty frustrating, especially when you consider that they moved the ball pretty well. It was just the drive stalled in the red zone on 4 different occasions. They had 2 turnover on downs, and then they had 2 drives where they had to settle for field goals. The thing that really bugs me, though, is just the defense's effort is just not there, and it's not acceptable in my eyes. You referenced the Sauce Gardner missed tackle, and I think the reason why it's being so amplified is because if they get off the field in that spot, it's a touchdown game. You have to get the 2-point conversion, but you were down by 8 points. Instead, drive extends, and now it is 21-6, and you are down 15 points and reeling and giving up 3 straight touchdown drives. That's a momentum shifter, and that's just one that, unfortunately, has to be made. Has to be made. There's not a good effort from this team. Really, really frustrating, and it feels like the fans and everyone else cares more than this team and the players. It's rotten. Jake from Jersey.
What's up, Matt? Jake from Jersey. Calling in after the loss to the Cardinals. I don't even know what to say anymore. I honestly was it's crazy this season how much it's drained me. I'm not even interested in the game. I'm watching it, and did I get angry? Yes, but I'm just it's terrible to watch. The tackling. It's not even the tackling's bad. It's the tackling isn't even there. Nobody is making tackles. It's crazy. I don't know how many times I saw Michael Clemens go after a guy without the ball. It's ridiculous how many times he's been on the fake. And I get it. It is a tough spot when it's Kyler Murray and the running back and he has the option. But still, there's so many mistakes. The team comes out flat, of course. Rodgers didn't look great. He was underthrowing guys. I know he expects them to read his mind all the time and come back to the ball or whatever, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's so frustrating. I wonder if I honestly wonder if he plays next year, and I don't know if I want him to, man. Even after he plays good, I do get sucked back in just like every other Jets fan.
Sure.
But to me, it's would we be better off just drafting somebody and restarting? I almost feel like sometimes he's more of a crutch to the season than he is helping it, it's not the season, the team, but I don't know, man. I'm at a loss of words, really. It's not even I don't even look as forward to the games as I used to. This season, it's just so bad. I really have never been like this before. It's kind of crazy, but hopefully, I can't even say hopefully they turn around, because I don't even know if that'll happen. Even if it does, are we just gonna get to a terrible, an 8-9 record and then have a terrible draft pick?
Yeah,
I'm not even that guy trying to root for the draft pick, but it's I don't know. What else do we do? We're clearly not making it to the playoffs. We can't tackle. We just must get oiled up before games. It's ridiculous. Every aspect of the game is terrible. Also, why are we throwing it 3 times in a row from the 3rd-yard line when Breece is averaging over 4.5 yards per carry? So ridiculous, man. Just such stupid stuff. Elementary
Run the ball.
stuff, it seems really. But whatever, man. Go Jets. We'll see what happens, but no words, man. No words. Go Jets.
I appreciate it, Jake. Run the effing ball, please. Breece Hall, over the last 3 games, he's averaged right around 5 yards a carry in each one of their 3 games. He had 10 carries in that game. Now, granted, it was because they were down so big, but run the ball. Give him the rock. It's working. I don't get it, man. And you know what really stinks? So clearly there was the awful 2020 year where they went 2-14, but they're not even like bad. They're not even good at being bad. You look at, they've had a losing season every year since 2016, but they've had 5-5, 4-7, 2, 4-7, 7, and I'm going to guess 6 wins this year. So like you're not bad enough to where you're getting like top picks, except for that one year, and they missed on it. This is probably going to be another 5 or 6 win team. And I don't know how you fix it. I really don't. I don't know how to fix this. It's an absolute, utter joke is what it is. Neil from Jersey City.
What's up, Matt? This is Neil from Jersey City.
What's up, dude?
I'm calling in today after the Arizona game. Just, more of the same, of course. Absolute horrendous display of football by the Jets. We see this constant pattern. Doesn't matter who's at the helm. Doesn't matter if it's Salah or Ulbrich, whomever it is. Undisciplined football. Honestly, it seems like no one cares at this point. And I think you could look at guys like Aaron Rodgers, who's supposed to be a leader in that locker room, to be that voice, and he's not. He looks checked out. Hopefully he retires and just goes away after this year. But, honestly, one thing that really struck me yesterday watching the games, if this doesn't scream New York Jets, I don't know what does. When you have a guy like Mike Williams who did virtually nothing, in 9 games with the Jets this year, he gets traded over to Pittsburgh this past week at the deadline, and he's been there for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden he's catching game-winning touchdown passes from Russell Wilson. The guy did absolutely nothing for the Jets, and now he comes to the Steelers and
he was on the red line.
What he was back in L.A. If that just doesn't scream Jets, I don't know what does. I don't know where you go from this point. But honestly, I'm getting to the point where it's just I don't even want to watch these games. I don't want to support this team because we really need to get to a point where we just boycott them, I think, and hope that Johnson sells the team. At any rate, that's all I got. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. I think that's a perfect analogy for this 2024 season, where the first freaking time Mike Williams goes somewhere else away from the Jets, he can't run the right route. He falls down trying to come back to the ball. And then for the first game of the Steelers, he runs a 9 route and they hit him deep down the field. You can't make this shit up if you tried. You just can't. This team stinks. They absolutely stink. PG from Long Island. PG, what do you got?
Hello, Matt. PG from Long Island here.
How are you, sir?
So I was watching the post-game coverage, and my wife came in and she said, "What is that score?" And I said, "Jets lost 31-6. And she was like, simply said, "There is something wrong."
Yeah.
And yeah, there is something wrong with the Jets. You could point at ownership. I think he tries his best, makes some mistakes. You could look at the coaching, and obviously Jeff Ulbrich is in over his head. Not his fault. He shouldn't have been there. Salah is not a good coach, but I got a question when they fired him and the way the defense has performed since he's left. The locker room is a mess. When you have to have a guy like Davante Adams, who's been in the locker room for 10 minutes, come in and, give a speech saying what's going on here, where's the energy, that's not a good sign. There's a problem with the locker room. And then you look at the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Fame quarterback, first ballot. But, if you had an alternate universe and you said the Jets quarterback was Kyle Murphy, the Cardinals quarterback was Aaron Rodgers, the Jets may have won that game on Sunday. That's how big the difference was. Excuse me. So I don't know what the answer is. I know what the problems are. Unfortunately, at this point, we're not going to make the playoffs again. No. And it just could be a matter of blowing it up at this offseason again. including the GM and the quarterback. Anyway, Matt O'Leary, as always, go Jets.
PG, I appreciate you. I got something similar from my fiance. Now, usually Taylor watches, I would say 90% of the games with me, start to finish. She is an absolute champ. But this week, same with my sister's a really big Jet fan too. Growing up, we watched games together all the time. She's come over and watched games with me this year as well. But she had plans to go to dinner with my sister and my cousin. So it was just me at home. All right, I was watching the game. They came back right at the end. I'm sitting there with my hood up under a blanket, just miserable. And they look at the score, 31-6. And like they just gave me a look. My sister and Taylor just gave me a look and kind of like shook their head. I'm like, I know. I know. What else can you possibly say? There is nothing left to say. Let's go to Robin up next.
Hey, Matt. It's Revin. I'm
Revin,
from Brooklyn. Just giving a call. Firstly, I just wanted to address the fact that Sauce Gardner really called you out on Twitter. I still think that's like insane. Like just to kind of think about that.
It is.
Really, I guess it kind of just tells the story of where we're at in the season. But my question was, it's a bit of a weird question. But it was something I was thinking about today. Is like obviously this is a huge hypothetical situation, but if there is a situation where somehow the Jets figure this out and they end up winning out, or they end up somehow sneaking into a playoff spot, what do you think they do next year? I mean, like mainly in terms of like the coaching staff, because like if they do find a way to like turn this around and let's say they finish 9-8 or 10-7 and somehow like steal a playoff spot, like do you think that Woody just like kind of runs it back with this coaching staff and is like, yeah, I mean, I guess there's no issues? Or do you think they still move on from some people? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't see Joe Douglas coming back next year. But again, like, if they figure out a way to like somehow do it, do you think that Woody makes that decision and just ends up bringing them all back? Because I feel like that would be a very Woody Johnson thing to do. Just bring everyone back and just be like, yeah, no problem. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that was kind of just like a weird question that I had. I was wondering what your thought on that would be. But yeah, I guess that's the only question I really had. I just want to say I appreciate you, man. I've been watching your channel for a while.
Thank you.
Huge fan. Keep up the good work, and yeah, let's go Jets.
Thank you. Yeah, bizarre last a couple days here with the Sauce Gardner incident. I said in a video yesterday, but in case anyone missed it, we're good. Everything is all good. There is no beef. The beef is squashed. I'm rooting for the Sauce Gardner. Ahmad Gardner bounce back in 2025. I hope he's back to being an all-pro with the Jets. But that was weird. And I really genuinely do hope he stays offline. That's all I said. That's what really got him going, was that I asked him to go offline and to take accountability. Anyway, if the Jets did win out, that would be hilarious. I don't see it happening, but let's play Fantasyland for a second. I get what you're saying, where you're like, oh, how could you, they would run it back because they would think it would work, this and that. I also could see Woody Johnson going like big fish hunting and be like, oh, well, like this team does have a lot of talent. I was right with that. Joe Douglas, you're going to stay and we're going to do this coaching search and try to bring in, honestly, Rex Ryan. And I'm not like, that's not what I'm advocating for. I don't think it's a good idea if the Jets go down the Rex Ryan route, but I could see them going for the name in the hire, which running it back with Rex would be just that. All right, last one.
Yeah, shit. My name is Shockley. I like the way the Jets are playing, but the line's not aggressive enough. They need to be more aggressive, especially with the center. He The center needs to put fear in the guys that's in front of him. Take the heart away from them. They make the lines more aggressive. I think they'll go further. All right, bye. I'm from Delaware.
Thank you for the call. I don't like how the Jets have played at all. But I will say, I might disagree with this entire call. I think Joe Tippmann, the Jet center, has been far from their biggest problem. I think he's had a pretty quiet last few weeks, which usually means for an offensive lineman that's a good thing. At one point early on in the year, he was playing like a top 5 center, had a few rough weeks in a row, but has been relatively steady. He hasn't allowed a sack since the Denver game and has allowed just one pressure in each of the last 5 games. One pressure in each game, not one over the 5, but from the Arizona game back to the Buffalo game, just one pressure in each one of those games, one penalty in each one of those games, one quarterback hit. Yeah, so one quarterback hit and 5 pressures in the last 5 games. It's pretty freaking good. I would say Joe Tippmann's been actually a bright spot on this team. I like Joe Tippmann. I think he's the center of the future. Guys, that'll do it for me. Weird episode today. Just weird vibes around this football team, but I appreciate you sticking with me. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.